is actually mean something.
Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour or so, along with Gal.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Yes, sir.
And Katie's here.
Morning.
Morning.
Boker Tov.
Okay. That's how you answer. Sorry. You don't. And we'll talk about it later.
That's
Our
the next
number.
lesson.
Our number
what
is
about me?
561. Nick is
Hey.
here. Wait.
What the hell?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
you know
sorry.
What? I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
Sayonara, as they say in some foreign language.
I'm telling you, Nick, these immigrants, they're taking your presents. It's like it's
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Too many damn H-1B visas. It's just a real problem.
Our number is 561-518-9773, and today's show is made possible by VMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So what's going on? Nothing.
apparently Gemini is depressed.
Gemini is in the AI.
Yeah, like just before we started I joined the Zoom. I saw this headline. Google says it's working on a fix for Gemini's self-loathing "I am a failure" comments.
Well, when reality catches up to you, I mean, I guess you let it take.
People
Maybe they can
using
change-
Google's generative AI chatbot said it began sharing self-loathing messages while attempting to solve tasks, prompting a response from a Google staffer in June. One ex-user shared screenshot from a session that shows Google Gemini saying, "I quit. I'm clearly not capable of solving this problem. The code is cursed. The test is cursed, and I'm a fool." The chatbot
boy.
said, "I have made so many mistakes that I can no longer be trusted."
That's almost
Jeez.
suicidal.
Yeah.
That's deep. Yeah.
Maybe
Pull
they
the
should
But then
plug.
again, but
rename
then
it.
again, when you think about the source that it's pulling from, which is what, open source AI,
Yeah.
there's a lot of sarcasm going on there.
Well, I was going to
So-
say it's pulling comments from Stack Overflow and things like that,
Probably.
where people are just the most condescending, nasty comments you can possibly imagine. So I guess that makes sense.
Maybe
Yeah.
they can apply to AA Milne and get Eeyore.
Wait, weren't we talking about on the show
Maybe
at
we're-
one point that there were like therapists that were using AI? I think the AI needs a therapist, an AI therapist.
That's a good, that is a good connection. We should make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at the point where we're already talking about depressions of machines. Yeah.
The new Chat GPT-5
Yeah.
came out this week as well.
Ooh.
I've been using it just because it's default. Can't say that it's done anything. I haven't really looked at what 5 does.
I was about to say, what's the difference?
I don't know.
I don't know what the difference, but if you look at the marketing, right? Everything that we said about LLMs is in the marketing about everything that came before ChatGPT 5.
Well-
it can't be trusted, and it's a piece of crap, and it's bullshit.
Yeah,
5 is the
and
new answer.
and I've got to the store. It says 2 different firms have tested the newly released GPT-5, and both find its security sadly lacking. After
Security.
Grok 4 failed to a jailbreak in 2 days, GPT-5 fell in 24 hours to the same researchers. Separately, but almost simultaneously, red teamers from SPLX declare GPT-5 raw model is nearly unusable for enterprise out of the box. Even OpenAI internal prompt layer leaves significant gaps, especially in business alignment. And there was another story that I was reading that OpenAI actually reinstated GPT-4 as the default language after all this
Well,
happening.
this is the big difference between enterprise use case and personal use case. When you're using it in an enterprise and you've got proprietary information and things that are what are defined by laws, trade secrets, things that you would have rights over. That's obviously a very significant problem if you're dumping that information into an AI model and it's potentially promulgating it elsewhere. But for regular everyday users, that's not really an issue. Um, I can't imagine the regular everyday user is dumping so much proprietary information into ChatGPT that it's a major problem for them. Maybe it is, but I can't think of the use case where you'd be dumping in data where, God forbid, it got somewhere else.
Well, the real problem is that the regular user might be an employee of a company that's doing that and is using it personally to ask it questions.
But that's a
Right.
problem but that's an issue
That's
with the
right.
company and not having security, because or even in the early days of ChatGPT, I mean, you go back not the early days, but you go back a year, 2 years when it first started getting adopted. It was a big companies, and I remember getting one when I was still working at the radio station here about using it and information and things of that nature that you should not be putting that stuff into Chat GPT.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then yeah, you're screwed. But if you have a company, if you have an enterprise account with Chat GPT, that's where, to me, the concern should and would be that
Well,
these researchers are breaking it. And they're not breaking it, let's be clear. They're just regurgitating information that it probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, I wonder what they mean by jailbreaking. That part I'm not completely
Maybe it's
clear.
just a buzzword. They're like, we
I
need a
would guess that
buzzword.
I would
Yeah,
guess that
but
they're
the
feeding
buzzword for what?
I would guess that they're feeding proprietary information into it, and on a separate GPT instance, they are somehow retrieving that information. That's
Yeah.
my guess on what they're describing as a jailbreak is. God, you have proprietary code that does something, and you feed it into GPT consistently, and then eventually I ask for it to do something, and it regurgitates your code to me. I would assume that's the jailbreak that they're
I would
talking about.
assume as well. It sounds true, but it'll be interesting to see a demonstration of that. They say 24 hours, right? Was it when they talk about 24 hours is okay, it took us 24 hours to just figure out the set of 5 steps that it'll take you 2 seconds now, or you need to be on continuous conversation for 24 hours with the API. Okay, like that doesn't necessarily need to be a chat engine to get to the data. That's like what's interesting. Like, does it take an enormous effort to keep on conversing with it, or is it just it just took we learned a lot of stuff than the last time we did it. Now we did a lot of similar stuff and it worked, right? So like that's the interesting part that the part that I'm interested in to figure out. But yeah.
Okay, this
It
is
is,
not anywhere near as nefarious as we thought. In the latest, this is reading from the Hacker News. In the latest attack aimed at ChatGPT-5, researchers found that it is possible to elicit harmful procedural content by framing it in the context of a story by feeding as an input into the AI system a set of keywords
right.
and creating sentences using those words. So this is when you ask it to do something illegal, it will tell you, "Sorry, I can't do that." And you create a fake narrative replacing words and sentences to get it to give you the answer that you want. So, I mean, I guess you could call that jailbreaking. I don't see that as an issue. I really
I
don't.
wonder, I wonder, and this will be interesting. is what will be the result of discussing with ChatGPT? How would I jailbreak not ChatGPT, but how would I jailbreak another LLM? Right? Like, would it stop the conversation, or would it play along and feed you the ideas that you need because they're already out there, right? On how this would be achieved. That's an interesting notion. Will the AI help you jailbreak itself? So
Well, I mean, the point here, what because they're talking about enterprise. I mean, the point I'm looking at, and what's important is if bad actors are trying to break in, they'll spend a week to try to break in. So if they broke it in 24 hours, yes, people like us will never get to that point of trying to break it, but there are certain people who would try. And
But
if
you know
it
what?
is breakable, that's
do
the
this
problem.
but I do this pretty regularly. GPT doesn't like. Sometimes Chat GPT is a little iffy with political stuff. It will tell me, "Oh, I can't do that," because I'm doing a lot of political work with it, and I jailbreak it regularly. Well, I'll say, "Well, we won't use this word. We'll use this word, or we'll use this sentence, and ignore this political word." Have it generate me the prompt, and then I just paste back in the one political word that I was looking for. That's not anything new with AI, and that's exactly what it says. It says echo chamber is a jailbreak approach that was detailed by the company back in June of 2025 as a way to deceive an LLM into generating a response to prohibited topics using indirect references as well as semantic steering and as well as a multi-step interface. So it's, I mean, that's all it is.
I think
When
the
it says
word
sorry I can't do that, and then you fake it out to give you what you want.
I think the word is manipulating. Where people are
Yes, it is.
manipulating the LLM to get the answers they want. I feel like jailbreaking is such a extreme like connotation word about something else that really at the end of the day you're just manipulating it.
Exactly.
Well,
Have you guys seen the reports that came out this week about the effect? They talk about smartphones specifically, but they're talking about the conscientiousness has dropped dramatically. Just the report that I was reading, interesting. It says the alarming new study finds smartphones ruining our brains at unprecedented speed. And they have some good data to back it up. And the chart shows that the worst affected generation is Z, 16 to 39, with huge drop offs in conscientiousness. Meaning, what I mean by conscientiousness is having the work ethic to go ahead and finish what you start, and attention span and all that dropping like a rock.
Makes total sense to me.
Oh gosh. And it's
iPad
just,
babies.
yep. And then
You know, that's funny though. It's not iPad babies because Katie, I mean, I'm in that generation. I'm 20. I think I'm 28. Yeah.
see?
I wasn't.
You
I
see?
wasn't. Yeah. I'm not a. You know, iPad baby is probably what, somebody that's maybe what, 16 right now,
No,
maybe
well,
a little bit older.
even younger than that.
no.
Well, no, but I mean, if you were
It started.
16,
It started. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
2008 is when you start getting these iPhones and iPods widespread. 2006
okay, so
is
so 2008. So
iPod.
that was what, that was 17 years ago. So yeah, between 15 and 17 years ago, is when you started seeing that. But that generation Z is a much larger pot of individuals.
Also, too, though, it's not just from when it was invented. Because if you introduce, so a child, okay, no doctor, but a child's brain, let's say, is absorbing a buttload of information between the ages of like 3 and 5 or whatever. That's like when they become self conscious and they're like, oh, the world is a thing. And so I think the range of these smartphones affecting is a lot wider than just like when the iPad was invented. Uh, So if you introduce it to a toddler, and even if you introduce it to a middle schooler who's struggling, it's like anytime during that childhood you introduce these things is going to have effect on the child, not negative, positive, whatever.
I mean,
So
it's not a new thing. And think about when I was raising kids, the idea that you just drop the kid in front of a television all
I was about
day.
to say, yeah, they used to say TVs rot your
Yeah,
brain.
yeah.
Like I remember
So
I'd watch Saturday morning cartoons, same thing.
the
You do
it's
know.
it's
Sorry,
affecting
Spen.
every generation. It's
Yeah.
even they said even 60 plus, you see a drop in conscientiousness. Not as much. The median drop is just a few points, whereas in the 16 to 39, it's 60 points drop in uh, how they measure conscientiousness. Neuroticism has gone up alarmingly from 40% to 70%. Agreeableness dropped like a rock. Extroversion has dropped. You know, you got people who become very introverted. But yeah, I mean, it's just
Just to note, all of these things have been said about any generation of media,
Yeah,
including print.
yeah, and
Okay?
newspapers.
Yeah. Like that was always like first it was about books because they introduced fantasy, right? Like if you go to Middle Ages where the print, right, the first press is the Bible, but after that, right, after the Bible, it was no longer the Bible. The Bible was a selling point to a limit as well, right? In terms of dissemination of information. And when you get a new method of disseminating information, it doesn't matter whether there's always something negative about it. And so the common reaction about anything new is it's bad.
well, this is not just a shoot from the hip. Gee, I see something happening. This is actually these are medical studies that they're doing now to say this is happening, and
What is happening,
you
Spence?
see you see all you have to do is look at the average teenager now. They can't communicate well.
No, they can't communicate with you. You can't communicate with
No,
them.
no,
It's not you can communicate. And if you
No, I
take
disagree.
this,
I disagree. I think
yeah,
Spence is
I think
absolutely
no,
spot
it's
on. I mean,
yeah.
Gal, I see it even in people close to my age. These people are incapable of holding a conversation. This is not okay, boomer. Or the 60-year-old can't talk with the
come on, when
teenager.
I was 16, there was what 40 aged people would say about my generation. Nothing has changed.
Well, that's where I
Nothing has
disagree.
changed.
It's not. It's the effect is not the same. You have successful people coming out of your generation. These kids can't work. They can't. They're now looking at Ivy League schools because all the kids tend to get A's. Oh, they could just an immediate hire. You just look Yale. Okay, you hire them. They're ignoring those universities now because they have come up through a generation and have been coddled basically to say, you're an elite person. You don't have to worry about those qualifications because you went to this elite school. It's the same. It's the same factor.
Here's what
You,
I think. I think it's valid, and I can see how this would affect people. I think it's less to do about technology and technology bad, and more to do about having instant access to something in your hand that you get into your I'm holding my phone, you can't see it, you your attention is just on this thing, whatever the thing is, be it a book or a phone, and they're not interacting with the world around them, and so they're not developing those social skills at the things that are coming at them if they have an easy to access distraction. I think that is one of the main things here. What it doesn't like in the iPhone, or like the smartphones just exacerbated that issue because it's form of entertainment. They can get information and they don't have to interact with things around them.
yeah. So the idea is that the same factors that when books were introduced, although this is just amplifying it.
Yeah, so I
It's
I can
not a
see
new
this.
thing. You're right.
I
It's
can see
absolutely right.
this as an issue because uh but I think it's an issue that has always been around, but Spence is right that the smart devices have just exacerbated this loneliness of like only being in your own world, and these kids are not being engaged outside of their little sphere. And I don't know if the parents just uh don't be like, hey, put your phones down, we have to do this thing, if they just let them do these in these places. So like if they go out shopping with their parents and they're just on their phone the whole time, and then they don't build up those social skills to go to a cash register and check out without like freaking out and having like, oh, human interaction, how do I do change, how do I do this, like I can see that just building, becoming an
Let's
issue.
but let's also not forget with this more recent generation, they went through COVID at a very different point in life
That's
than
true.
everybody else. Where for the better part of in some cases 2.5 years, they were sequestered at home,
And they were
and
encouraged to be alone, like to not
well,
interact with
yeah, you
people.
were encouraged to be alone, and you were doing your studies on Zoom
Yep.
for 2 years, and I mean, some of the studies, and I don't want to get too far into this, but some of the studies that have come out now post COVID showing some of the ability of these individuals to interact and become, I'm not saying useful members of society, but the ability to interact in society, like Katie's describing, is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was talking to one of my friends who's an elected official last week, and he was over at he was speaking to a group of college kids, and he said that they just did not have the ability to even ask like any sort of like they could not hold a salient conversation on anything. Um, so it's interesting.
It's also building confidence. It's like when you
But how can you
see
build confidence when you're sitting behind a computer screen?
exactly. So
Yeah.
like I'm thinking like when you see kids and they're like a 4 or 5 year old, and they're gonna buy their own candy bar for the first time, and they're very nervous and they don't know what to do, and their parents like, go ahead, go and do it, and they're encouraging and like walking them through this process. And but that is like throughout growing up. And like how do you build confidence in talking to your professors, you build confidence in talking to your peers, and if they don't have the interaction, then they're gonna freeze up and just, yeah, it just exacerbated.
I mean, when you say it's got nothing to do, that it's just technology does make all of us less life participating individuals.
Here's a terrifying study for you. This is out. February of this is from February of this year. 28% of males between 18 and 34 interacted with an AI girlfriend app at least once. And I think that that is your sign of a problem.
Well, Nick, but that could be just curiosity.
Okay, let's assume half of it is curiosity.
I'm not curious to look up a dating bot.
No, but if you're interested in, I've done this. I mean, I would be in this 28% because the technology is interesting. So let's assume half of that is curiosity. That's still 14%.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Let's assume it's a fourth. That's still 7% of people in between the ages of 18 and 34 building a relationship with a robot. I mean, or literally a robot.
They want a friend.
Underlying issue is loneliness.
Yeah.
It's not not necessarily a technology thing, but you're lonely, so you go to find interaction because you're afraid to go outside your living space, and now you've never had that chance to go. I remember dating for the first time when this is back in the early 70s. How traumatic that was at first. You were surrounded by other people who were all going through the same thing. Oh, go ahead, go ask her. Go ask her out. It's okay. That kind of thing. There's nobody to cheer them on like that. To say, go out. It's okay. You can do it. Everybody does it.
Stay confident.
It's confident. Yeah. But loneliness is, you can look at any psychology study. It shows that loneliness has been growing for 30, 40 years, just because of the way society operates.
Well,
Plus-
but the thing is, yes, it's loneliness also, but I mean, it's much more basic. It's the technology, what it does to our brains, and if you are immersed in it, and that's all you do, you're on the computer, you're on the phone, you lose the ability to communicate and to participate in real life. And
So
and I'll go back to the same example. How many people remember all the phone numbers they need to remember? They don't. They let the
I only
phone
know
remember it.
one number.
Yeah, I mean it's very basic. It's you don't use it, you lose it, kind of.
But let me make this point, because it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, I think Amnon, Amnon, put the double box back up.
Yeah.
You look at me, for example.
Yeah.
I spent an inordinate amount of time in my teenage years literally plastered to the computer,
Yeah.
talking to you and Spence and a group of individuals. I'm obviously, yes, I'm very abnormal and very weird and screwed up, but I can function in society as, as somewhat of a
Nick,
normal individual.
Nick,
But my
Nick,
point is, it's
you-
not all spending time on the computer is not inherently the bad thing. I was interacting with individuals, and lo and behold, now I end up living in North Carolina and do what I do. So it's not all doom and gloom and bad.
No, it's not.
What you do. It's all,
No,
but
no,
it's what you do with it is the question.
absolutely. But the thing,
Congratulations to your parents.
there's
Because
one
your
thing.
parents are
Thank you.
very much a part of why you are the way you are.
And they're probably listening this morning, so they hopefully they take that as.
And Nick, you're forgetting one thing. You were at school. You were interacting with the kids in your class. You were
Yes,
acting
a little
with
bit.
people. Yeah, but you did. And that
Sure.
keeps you going. But there's a lot of people that just sit at home, do nothing. I'm not saying that it's only I'm wrong if it came across that will ruin you.
No, I'm not saying it ruined you, but I think, when I wasn't in school, I was sitting on
You
my
were
computer.
on the
I mean,
computer.
that's literally what I did when I was not physically not able to do that,
But-
aka
and-
being away from.
Right,
from
and you
home.
always had a terminal open to the Hangouts or whatever, and we
Yes.
were always in. Yeah, so this is still interaction.
But I think it depends on what, and so that's the key: is what is the interaction with an AI chatbot, or is the interaction with a group of friends on Discord, which is in years past it was Skype and IRC channels and TeamSpeak and Ventrilo. Then it transitioned into Discord. If you're talking to people 10 hours a day on Discord and interacting with them, I would argue that you're probably well above your peers in terms of your ability to socially interact.
Absolutely.
Because you're actively talking to
And-
people and interacting with them.
And when you are in this kind of interaction, people will argue with you,
Sure.
and people will get you pissed off. I've never interacted with the chatbot, so I don't know, but I don't think it will argue with you.
It
I-
absolutely will.
They will? Okay.
Mhm.
I would think that they program them sort of like, so they are
Look at
always
what
like
Gal's
to
story
please.
was.
What?
But look at Gal's headline story was the chatbot was responding to people.
Yeah.
This is
That it
all
failed.
useless. What the hell's the point? Why am I doing this?
Oh.
This code is garbage.
All right. John in the chat is saying Opatch is a company offering alternative ESU plans for home users. Opatch is guaranteeing that it will support ESU at least until 2030 for $27 a year. Any thoughts? Because Microsoft started this week to offer their ESU, but that's for 1 year. And you have to either sync your computer with OneDrive, back it up, or something like that, or have 1,000 points of where you, I guess you purchase from the Microsoft Store or whatever, but it's not free. Now,
Can John post the link to exactly what company he's talking about? Because I'm seeing like a bunch
Yeah,
of different.
Opatch.
Like I'm seeing.
Opatch.
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of. I'm seeing Oracle makes a product called Opatch. I'm on a website called zeropatch.com. Like I'm who's offering this?
it's the company is Opatch. Put
I
Opatch
can't find
Win
it. Yeah.
updates. Opatch
I-
Win. You did?
I mean, I search Opatch Windows Update, and the first link I get is a company called Zero Patch. Long live Windows 10. Is that the? Is that
That's
the,
probably. I would think so.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, John, post the URL. I'm curious. And then Oracle makes a software called Opatch for patching
Yeah,
Java,
for patching.
Java applications. So I'm just curious what.
Yeah, here it goes. Microsoft $30 extended security updates license for Windows 10 will cover up to 10 devices under a single Microsoft account. The company confirmed this in a support documentation. The ESU program, which provides security updates through October 13, 2026, requires a Microsoft account for all three enrollment options. The $30 one-time purchase, redemption of 1,000 Microsoft reward points, or free enrollment for users who sync their PC settings to OneDrive. Windows 10 support ends October 14. I don't understand what is that to sync your PC settings to OneDrive. What settings are we talking about? The stuff that we always lose when we reformat and try to set up things again?
It's a
I
great
don't know.
question.
Nick, John put the link
Oh,
to
perfect.
Dave's computer tips. Yeah, it was.
Okay, so it is that zero. So zero. It's Opatch, but the URL is zero. The number zero
Okay.
patch. For Windows.
I'm probably
how
going to
can-
go with them.
Yeah, but okay. So they promise it for 30 years.
No, until
Or,
2030.
excuse me, until 2030.
Yeah.
Says who?
They says them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're I'm not saying
right.
this company's a scam.
Right.
I'm not saying. I mean, it looks like there's a group that is running this called a cross security, some sort of digital research lab. So I mean, it seems like there's somebody decent behind this. But
They're
nothing
one of-
stops them from going out of business next year. And then
Nothing.
what are you going to do? Take them to court? So I mean, you have to be willing to pay this for potentially a year.
Oh yeah.
Why? But then why not go with the
Well,
Microsoft option? Because that
hold
to
on.
me.
Hold on. They exist since 2016. They're posting actively since 2016. They're not a
Absolute-
new outfit.
They're not.
That's part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
And I
not.
get
I'm not
what you're
arguing
saying.
that point.
Nick.
But my question is, why not go with the Microsoft option? Seems to be a similar price. No, at least you can say pretty confidently that Microsoft is not going to be out of business in the next 5 years. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment to make. Versus a third party company. Again, I'm not trying to disparage this company, but I've seen plenty of services and sites come and go, and it's hard when they say we're going to promise you something for 5 years. That's
Maybe.
and it's the same, and it's almost the same price as the Microsoft option. So why not go with the official Microsoft option? Is my point.
I don't know. I
the
don't know,
only
but
reason-
I'll tell you one thing. I do want that service around, right? Just because the fact that they will exist will mean that Microsoft will continue the stuff they're doing as well, right?
Agreed.
Because Microsoft will not leave that money on the ground when it's in their ballpark, especially when this company is the one who will actively, right, raise the flag whenever such a patch is needed. So
And they are not
Um,
the only company that is going to do security ESU. They are not the only ones. There was one other that was mentioned on Dave's computer tips, and there are some other companies that are jumping on this bandwagon. And that's, I think, what you meant.
It's sort of a Y2K
Yeah.
business model, right? There's an imminent threat by not doing something, and there's enough people who can do something about it, but eventually this backlog is going to dry up. So as a business model wise, just hinging your entire existence on that is a problematic aspect. And that's the part of the 5 years that I don't know if they can sustain. But then again, they'll move from Windows 10 to from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and etc. Right? So yeah, interesting.
I mean,
Not
look
a
at
money making scheme, but a sustainable, but a business, right? So
what was that company that we used a lot for installing Windows 7, Windows 10, and you don't need to go for the updates to Microsoft.
Yeah, because they consolidated all of them into
Yeah,
the,
I can't remember.
image. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah, and they lasted. They're still in business. You go and you click. I just install Windows 10 and I
you're
want
talking
to
about
update it.
WinBuilder?
No, it
Mike
was a
would-
weird
Mike
name.
will know this. Mike will know this if he's listening.
It was a weird name. It was like
Batch patch?
no.
No.
I used to use a tool called WinBuilder when it was a real chore.
This was
Today Microsoft provides the tools, so it's different.
this was kind of a tool that was working in a command line.
But
But it doesn't matter.
I understand everybody has their reasons and their whatever their reasons are for not upgrading. But again, at the end of the day, the best solution here is to upgrade to Windows 11.
11, if you can and if you can afford it.
Well,
I mean, there's
yes, you can definitely afford it. I mean, it's a free upgrade. So I mean,
no. But the computer needs to support it, and you may not be able to buy a new computer.
It used to be able to not support it, but now there are absolutely workarounds for TPM. You can install Windows 11 without a TPM chip.
And Microsoft is okay with that?
Yeah, they didn't endorse it, but absolutely. I mean, we talked about that probably, I don't know, maybe 8 months or a year ago.
Yeah, but they put stuff in their updates that will circumvent it.
Why,
and say, no, you cannot
why
put.
would we want? Let's stop for a second. Why would we want to do that?
We're just assuming we're going with the situation where somebody has no money to purchase a brand new computer but wants to stay up on Windows 11.
So here's the thing: why stay up on Windows 11, right? And force Windows 11 on a machine that cannot make sure that it's I'm losing the word.
Secure enough.
That's
the same
security front. Like, why update security updates, right? Why follow security updates if you cannot let the software do its work because it's missing the hardware piece? So stay on Windows 10.
Stay on Windows 10, but I sure as hell wouldn't buy upgrades I wouldn't buy this patch solution if you're going to stay on Windows 10. Just keep your keep your firewall up to date. Don't download shit from the internet that you don't know what it is, and you're fine. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Calculate how much you're going to pay in the next 5 years for patch maintenance, right? And put that money aside, so when it does come the time to upgrade these machines, you'll be able to. We're talking about security updates, right? So let's not perpetuate. Yes, it's a shit show. It's awful that we lose the ability of the old hardware to support the new software, but there's also some technical reasons for that and let's embrace those technical reasons instead of try to fight them all the time. So yeah, those business models are they're basically based on fear, right? It's an insurance game. I say in this particular case, it's probably wrong to insure that piece. It's too old, right? And if it gets broken, you'll need to replace it. And at this moment, it might not be broken, and you can still use it, keep on using it. But when it's time, replace it. Don't maintain it anymore. As there's no vintage in computing, right? Not not for operational,
Right.
not for operational, not for business. There's no such concept as running on vintage computers, right? It doesn't make sense here. It's not a car. It's not eventually just four wheels and an engine. So
There's one thing I think that we're overlooking here. If today Microsoft had its way and there was absolutely no way to continue using Windows 10 on your current non-supported PC, no way. There was no way to do it. You know what kind of a scream will be going around the world
The
about all
enterprise
these
space would lose
computers?
their minds. The enterprise space would lose their minds because they have so many embedded machines.
That's not
out
the
there.
point. The point is what will happen environmentally. That
yeah, that's
all
what I
these
mean.
machines are ending up in dump sites.
yeah, but
there are
are
wait,
solutions.
wait.
They're not called Microsoft. That's
I
all.
understand, but it's still. I mean, it's suddenly a big, huge number, and I don't think there's any company who's ready to deal with such.
But hold
Now-
on a second.
Now, wait.
We are. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, yes, we're talking about this from a TPM security standpoint.
Okay, yeah,
But what about the ability to use the computer because of its age
Right.
standpoint? I mean, we completely like everybody complain. Oh, TPM, it doesn't have TPM. It's too old of a machine. Those machines are typically dated in their age and are no longer capable of functioning as a computer that you can get tasks done with. I mean, there is a technological advance that happens
why-
every single time Intel or AMD releases a new CPU. And so,
Cool.
yes, you can turn on a computer from 20 years ago and boot it up and use it, but it's going to be a really shitty experience that you're not going to enjoy. And you can say, oh, well,
Agreed.
I can't run Windows 11 on this. Sure, you can't, but you're also not going to want to use it anyway because it's so old and so slow. I just replaced a computer for a business I do some work with, and this was a Dell from 2012 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 7th generation Intel processor. The complaint wasn't, oh, I can't install Windows 11. The complaint was this thing is slow as hell and takes me 25 minutes in the morning to boot it up and get logged in because it's a 15-year-old computer. I mean, that was the complaint.
I think there's
So-
more there than just the age of the computer. There's probably a lot of crap that needs to be.
Well,
removed.
guess what? Because it was from 2012, it had a
Yeah.
spinning hard drive. So it was
Yeah.
slow and it was old. And the complaint
Yeah.
wasn't, oh my God, it doesn't run Windows 11. The complaint was it was just old as hell. And
Right.
so, I mean, you eventually will hit a point where the age of the system will not keep it running.
Okay,
forever.
now,
So the discussion
here-
of the landfills, yes, are relevant. I'm not
Now,
arguing that.
here is the key. You just said it. You eventually will get to that point.
correct.
And I think that if Microsoft continues to offer the security updates for free, I don't think these machines are going to last. I don't think people will continue using those machines for the next 5-6 years.
I would
Slowly,
agree with you.
slowly, they will upgrade. It will,
Mhm.
but it will be a slow transition where
Correct.
the system can deal with all these computers that
Yeah,
are being
but
dumped.
Microsoft is run by their shareholders, and shareholders
Yeah.
do not like the word slowly.
Yeah.
Okay, and there is another there, and there's always an alternative, right? The fact that Microsoft doesn't want to run their software on these machines anymore. Doesn't mean that you cannot run it. And if we're talking about Windows 7, we're talking about Windows 10, right? Then sure, run Linux with Wine on it and run your Windows applications that you're stuck with. It's the
But
solutions, the technical solutions are there. It doesn't mean you want them.
they are
Windows
available, but not to everybody. They're not.
Windows
They're not
10
practical for everybody. Yeah.
Windows 10 released 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
July 29th, 2015. If you bought a brand new spanking computer to run Windows 10, that computer is incredibly out of date right now. The processor is at least 7 generations old. And so even if it was brand new for Windows 10, it is 10 years old. You are on the precipice of needing to do an upgrade anyway, just based on the speed of the computer. And if you're somebody that says, oh, well, I don't do a whole lot on it anyway, then I would argue then it doesn't matter if you're running Windows 7, Windows 8.1, 10, or 11. It doesn't matter anyway. If you're not doing anything on it besides checking your Gmail and browsing Facebook, I would argue it doesn't matter what you're running. Who cares?
And
What's your
that's what-
security
Running
concern?
a rerun server.
Yeah, I mean, it's irrelevant at that point.
Most people, that's what they do today. It's
Well,
internet.
then who cares? Then it doesn't matter if you upgrade. To me, it doesn't matter if you upgrade.
Well,
or not
but
anymore.
the thing is that people are worried. I mean, you look at TV and they come up with all those hackers and VPN and blah 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 and this and that
Right.
because even the older people that will only use it for the internet do some financial stuff over the web with their bank. And yeah, you know, it's
But notice what you're describing. You're describing an insurance market. People
Yeah.
are worried, right? That's the key word.
absolutely. But
Ah.
but Microsoft should have, in my opinion, should maintain. Don't develop anything new features and stuff. Just do the security stuff.
They will though.
Sooner or later, it'll go away.
There's a very easy solution, Amnon. There's a very easy solution. Microsoft needs to come up with a campaign. Hey, do you have Windows 10? If so, we'll send you a USB key with Ubuntu, and you can switch to that.
No, no.
I have a question or a thought. These people that are against upgrading their computer, I'd be curious to know how often they get a new phone or upgrade their phone. Like, do they? Because phones, and my experience is in Apple phones, is that they have to basically be replaced every 5 to 6 years or something
Mhm.
because they just don't work anymore.
Yep.
And people seem to be okay. Well, they're not okay with it, but culturally we have accepted as a society that every 5 to 6 years we need to buy a new phone. So if it's okay with a phone, why are they fighting so hard with the computer?
Well, with the phone, they didn't have a choice, and Apple have abused their users in such a way
I agree.
historically
Yeah.
that they just trained them to that. With the Microsoft world, right? People were used to think more open, but Microsoft has shifted to a more Apple-like mode. They're trying to be a lot more Apple than they were before, right? They're trying to control the narrative of the OS with its apps and all of that a lot more. They haven't been successful yet, right? But eventually, that's their goal. So that's why I'm saying the answer is to ditch the Microsoft and the Mac, right? And yes, I'm preaching to a very very niche audience on this, but that's the reality. These businesses, they don't care. They don't care about the landfill. They don't care about. They just care that their stock will continue rising. That's all they care about.
I
The
think it's
bottom
more
line.
important to upgrade your computer every 5 years versus your phone. Because to me, phone
But
technology.
that's us. That's
No, I know,
this
I know.
group
I'm just
here,
I'm
right?
just giving my perspective. I just think that phones from year to year, the phone doesn't change that much. Year to year with computers, it changes dramatically with stuff like new programs, new software. So for me, I'd much rather, and not only that, but computers are cheaper than phones, which is kind of wild too. Okay, this is my experience with an iPhone, and iPhones are very expensive, and I do not replace my iPhone every 5 to 6 years, even though sometimes I'm forced to. But
Look at this point, and maybe we can give it a rest. Windows XP to
Amnon still uses
upgrade
it. Yeah, sorry.
to upgrade to Windows 7 and then to go to Windows 10 did not require a new computer. People did it and they updated. Yeah, they were slower, but they
Correct.
worked. But how many
In the
people?
eyes of the beholder.
But how many people are using Windows XP today? End users. Probably
I
Probably
don't
not.
know. There's a number.
Yeah.
How about
somewhere.
Windows 7? Not
Windows
that
7
many.
still has some decent.
Some.
There's still some decent.
But
yeah.
it's slowly
There's
dropping.
I can tell you that there are some embedded machines for sure.
I'm not talking
that are
about
still
embedded.
running.
No, never mind embedded. Embedded, I mean,
But
you go to
not
the
even embedded
to the-
though. You go to I guarantee you go to a mechanic shop. They're still their POS system still might be Windows.
Yeah,
7.
I mean, you
it's
go to
exactly
the
like that.
ATM.
That's an
It's
embedded
XP.
machine.
Well, ATM is embedded. I'm saying
Yeah.
you still have if you go to a small business mechanic, I think is a good example. They are still using old hardware, not in an embedded form, but just because their interaction with the computer is your total is $800.
Yeah, it's not connected to the web. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So,
But my point is that it is dropping. If the
Correct.
company, so that's what I'm saying. The Microsoft
what
should have done.
Microsoft is trying to control is the rate of drop. Okay, it's like it's clear. It's not that they're hiding it, even, right? That's the whole thing.
I think
and,
but
I say let's drop, but let's drop the Microsoft part, not the computer part.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
And I
Well,
think that
the-
the
Mi-
promise that Microsoft may have made to PC manufacturers with, oh, you'll have this great upgrade
yeah,
opportunity now probably hasn't worked out.
no, it did not.
Look at Vista. I mean, that's the
Yep.
greatest example possible of Microsoft trying. Hold on, Amnon.
Yeah, yeah,
Microsoft trying to do the right thing with Windows Vista, saying yes, you can use your Windows 7 and here are the specs for upgrading for Windows Vista. They grossly, purposefully, I would argue, misinformed the public on what is valid for Windows Vista. And what was the end result? A bunch of old computers upgrading from 7 to Vista, and it now being arguably described as one of the worst Microsoft operating systems
Right.
ever. Not because the OS was really that bad, but because they allowed a bunch of ancient XP era hardware to run a modern operating system because that's what everybody wanted. And the end result ended up being a garbage operating system because the hardware sucked. The hardware was garbage.
yeah. But
And so
when
the experience ended up sucking. So
But-
yes, you could run Windows Vista on your Pentium 4 from 2005. You could do that, but it was a shitty
Jimmy,
experience.
yeah, but there's something very positive about Windows Vista. If you remember, because of that shitty experience, Windows upgrading to Windows 10 and upgrading to Windows 11 could be undone.
I mean,
They
people
baked it
that
into the
ran
product.
Vista and it was a shitty experience, and Microsoft updated to Windows 7 pretty quick after Vista, and people went to 7, all that shittiness, quote unquote, went away.
It did not, though. It was still old hardware.
I understand, but it wasn't a shitty experience. Vista was giving you all kind of problems,
Yeah.
and I don't know
Yes.
if what
Vista
was
It was a flawed
was
it was a
just
flawed
an
operating
evolution
system.
step, a bad evolution step. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
argue, though, the computer that ran Vista poorly probably did not run 7 much better. Again, because you were talking about, at the time, very old hardware that Vista was a disaster. Let me be clear. But a lot of it was, people with old XP machines, many of which were upgraded from 98 to
Right.
XP.
Mhm.
Now we're going to jump to Vista, and you're literally talking about Pentium 1, Pentium 2 hardware running Windows Vista. With
That was
I think
state
what
of
was
the art, man.
I'm trying to remember what the minimum Vista RAM spec was. It may have been 2 gigabytes or something, which was unbelievably low. Or maybe it was a gig still or something like that. But it was not, it was an awful, if you had the minimum specs, it was a terrible experience. And the end result was everybody hated Microsoft and blamed Microsoft for making a crappy operating system when
Oh no, Nick, the operating system was crappy.
it was.
Don't give
I'm
it
not
any
argu-
credit.
I'm not arguing that it wasn't crappy, but because Microsoft did not push people to upgrade to new hardware, not only did they have a bad operating system, but the hardware also was not up to par with what it should have been. And I think it created it was a double pronged issue that they dealt with.
I
Remember
mean,
one of the major
they didn't deal
issues?
with it, they created it. Let's be clear here. There were alternative operating system. Even the Mac, if you look at the Mac that was running in parallel to it and developed in parallel to it, the resource that it would consume, that it would require, were much lesser than those of the Microsoft system. So Microsoft made a bad design in software and
Yes.
didn't back it with the proper hardware, but they made the bad choices in the beginning. It started with bad design in general, not just hardware incompatibility. Okay, it took them about 20 years to catch up on that. But today, that's not the situation, right? We're not talking about that anymore. So it's a different landscape in that term. Today, whatever the specs are compared to what the OS needs, matches. The competition still runs on much better terms with lower requirements on hardware, right? So it's still a flawed design in that term, but we're just okay with shelling out the money to deal with that.
You know what would be a laugh? That we find out that these companies that provide the ESUs are actually financed by Microsoft. Say, hey, look, you guys do it. We'll help you.
Wouldn't surprise me. All right, I've got one more quick story before we
Yeah.
close. This is a sad day for everybody. Speaking of old technology, AOL, did you guys see this? Is finally set to end its dial-up internet service in September of this year after 34 years.
Boy,
AOL, their Shield browser, and the AOL dialer software will all be shut down on September the 30th of this year.
I want them to do away with their email.
I knew that their days are numbered when I stopped getting their CDs in the mail.
That was, what was that, 20 years ago when you stopped getting
Oh.
their CDs
Yes.
in the mail? So, yeah, unfortunately,
But that's interesting. Who in the US, like how many users in the US are still relying on dial-up? That's actually interesting. I find
yeah,
that
they
very
don't
interesting.
say how many users, but I would imagine it's still it's not a lot, but there's definitely still a user base there.
I just had
course.
to reach out on the thing here.
Oh my god, how do you still
course.
have that?
53 hours.
It's okay to throw stuff away, Omnan.
No, that's a
No,
piece
but
of
I mean,
history.
this
Hold
is
on to that.
like here is something. Here is another one. It's just something that I keep on a thumb tack over here. Look at that. Well, that's
Oh, wow.
not.
Actually, they're gonna put that in a museum. Actually, it's probably already in a museum somewhere.
It's it's here to show people. Yeah, that's how it used to be. That's
How far
Amla,
we've
do you
come.
have any dial-up customers, or are all of your people gone?
no. I did away with the dial-up.
How long ago did you do away with it?
Probably
Was it when you
Look at
switched?
Amnon innovating before AOL.
Yeah,
2 or
first
3
time
years
ever.
ago. 2 or 3 years ago, when everybody dropped out.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you have any customers left when you
Yeah.
shut it down, or how many did you have when you stopped offering it?
One.
Okay, well, then there you go.
Seriously, I mean, I would
Okay,
not
yeah.
force. I did not force anybody to. I didn't say, "Hey, look, you can't have it anymore." I mean, I didn't have anybody. I took it off and did not offer it anymore.
Gotcha.
his
Okay.
last customer was the International Space Station.
The last customer was actually a radio station, and they were
but that
using it
actually-
for
that would make sense.
ISDN. What?
I said that would make sense.
If you drive out on 64 West, you pass through Cyrus City, and there's this little cinder block building, AM radio station. It still operates. It's this tiny little. It's probably all automated by now, but that was your
Mm.
customer, I think.
No, I mean there people
WSLO.
and
So-
I still have all the hardware.
So this is an old statistic. This is from 2021. AOL still had 1.5 million dial-up subscribers in 2021.
Yeah, but they
So-
didn't use it.
Well,
They had the customers that paid for it but didn't use it.
I can't imagine many people were paying for it and not using it.
Oh, I mean, most of the people that I had in the last maybe 6, 7 years were actually paying for the dial-up but using it just for email, and they were not using it for dial-up. And I would say, "Hey, guys, it's a shame. Why aren't you? Oh, it's okay for backup. I'm not sure I want to keep this. I'm not sure I want to keep Time Warner.
Sure.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's it. So 1.5 million 4 years, a little over 4.5 years ago. So you would imagine that number's down to maybe a couple 100,000 at the absolute most, maybe 150, 200,000, maybe. I mean, with you had over the last 5 years, you've had a major United States broadband push, a lot of federal
Yeah.
money for that. You've had WISP, wireless ISPs, grow significantly in rural areas. And then, of course, over the last couple of years, Starlink has ballooned as an alternative, literally anywhere in the continental United States. So, with those three options available,
Anybody,
most people-
anywhere can get.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. And then, of course, the rollout, continued expansion of 5G. Every major phone provider now offers some sort of 5 or 4G home internet box that you purchase. I've got the Verizon unit with all of those options available. I can't imagine there's anybody that their only option for internet is still AOL. Not a
Okay,
single.
this is interesting. Statista.com. They present a lot of graphs from open sources of data. So this is, you said 2021 yours, right? I'm
Yes,
looking
sir.
at 2019, and it's a breakdown of states relying on dial-up and the percentage of population relying on that. So total US 0.6%, 2019. Okay, I was interested in North Carolina. North Carolina is above that, above South Carolina. It's a
That makes sense.
1%. That South Carolina will have less dial-up users than North Carolina. That makes sense.
Makes perfect
Huh?
sense. So you spent
Why?
some time in.
I thought the infrastructures here are better than South Carolina.
Well, it's better in the major metros, but I mean, you drive through eastern North Carolina and western North Carolina with the topography and geography. There is some. I mean, you talk about rural North Carolina. That is a real deal thing. And here's the thing: who's still paying for AOL dial-up? The 85-year-old woman who's had it for the last 30 years
Yeah.
and just uses it for literally her email, and that's all she's used it for 35 years. So that's who's paying for it still. No, I can't imagine they've had any new customers.
And the lowest percentages of 0.1%, Alabama, Arizona, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New York, and Tennessee. That's a weird mix of states, I gotta say. Like,
Well, it depends on their providers and what kind of policies they have in the states.
yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
and many of those states. Well, here's the thing: you talk about like Alabama, you think, oh, yeah, right, old
No,
down,
it's
old down in
because they
Alabama.
got all of the infrastructure very late. That much
Well,
I get.
that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
is those states were very behind on the curve and invested a fortune to get broadband
Yeah.
and that stuff set up in those areas.
Yep.
But
Plus
New York, right? New York and Massachusetts, I wouldn't expect them to be in that mix. That's the thing. But somehow they are. Massachusetts is small, so
Massachusetts is
I
a
get
very small
Yeah.
state. Yeah.
So I get maybe get that. But New York, right? It's a huge state,
There is, but same thing
right?
there.
With ton of rural. So
Yeah. but that same thing's going on there. My girlfriend, the company she works for, is responsible for broadband does a lot of broadband projects in New York, and it's a lot of WISP and backhaul fiber WISP stuff. So they're continuing their expansion. So pour one out if you're having a beer this afternoon. Pour one out for old AOL. Rest in peace.
Yep. Where is it? Somewhere here I have it.
Do you still have the AOL dialer installed on a computer?
No. I'm looking.
Is there a Windows 11 version of that dialer?
There's still a Windows 11 version of the AOL the AOL browser software. I watched a YouTube video about 6 months ago of a guy who purchased the premium browser software.
Wow.
Which they still sell by the way. And he did a video of using it, and it was well, no, it wasn't atrocious at all, but it was just a regular web browser with a bunch of links to like email, just loaded AOL.com, and the calendar loaded calendar.aol.com. So it was a browser with all of these quote unquote neat features that just loaded a bunch of
But hold
websites.
on, but what like is it? They haven't made it Chromium based or something, right?
I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been Chromium based.
Okay, so at one point they just did what everybody else does. Okay, I thought they just kept the old software and just kept, because the rendering engine will just become obsolete, right?
No, maybe
how
it's
did
not
they-
Chromium based. It's called AOL Desktop Gold. I just put the video in the chat. It's about a 35-minute video. It's definitely worth watching. It's a cool background video. You don't have to be tuned into it the entire time. And he goes through and shows the browser. I think it's like something like $7 a month too. It's not cheap to pay for it.
Amazing.
They
All
should
right.
bring Prodigy back.
So AOL.
AOL DOA.
Well, you can get a 30-day free trial.
Yeah. I mean, it had its time, and they They made the
At its time,
internet
they
go
had
forward.
25 or 35 million customers at their peak. I mean, it was well beyond just a little flash ban.
Yep.
They had an insane user base.
The free
Every
trial is only
commercial
good-
had,
the free trial is only good for 56K. That's the problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
AOL desktop.
Yeah, but that's what, I mean, dial-up never went.
Interesting. They came up with AOL desktop only in 2007, right? So
Yeah, I think they switched.
they took their time.
They introduced that after they were probably trying to phase out that original AOL software, would be my guess.
Yeah.
And the same thing, the only people paying to use that would have been individuals that were locked into that ecosystem, predominantly older individuals that were unwilling or uninterested in literally just using a regular web browser.
All right. So I guess in future shows, we'll probably touch again on the ESU as we're getting closer. We're going to learn more and see. And John, maybe we'll have people with experiences. Maybe, you, John, maybe you let us know. But yeah, I'm of the thought, hey, I'll go with OPatch, not with Microsoft for now, because I know it's only going to be for 1 year, and then I have to go a different way. I would rather give the money to a company who's trying to do it. But again, if they're financed by Microsoft, that's a joke. But anyway, we'll talk about it in future shows. Anything else anybody wants to mention here? All right, so let's end it.
It's a beautiful day. Disconnect from the screens and enjoy
Yep.
the day.
Absolutely.
What are you talking about? It's pouring here.
It is?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
yesterday was a
Over
gorgeous day here.
Yeah.
It was very nice here yesterday.
All right, so thanks, Nick. Thanks, Spence. Thank you, Katie. And thank you, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner, and change any same passwords where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Again, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT in Charlotte, and it's also on YouTube. So just search for the Carolina Journal News Hour on YouTube, and you'll see it. Nick also hosts the Nick Craig Show, weekdays from 7 till 8. Just go to the nickcraigshow.com, to nickcraig.com, and get the details. And we'll be back together next week. Have a great week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.